Capricorn, in January of 2022, log off from all the drama and log into me time, including your emotions. Welcome to Uprise Astrology Podcast and today's episode. Today, we are going to be focusing on two very important transits, in my opinion, that are going to really shape the month of January 2022. The first thing we're going to look at in today's episode is the powerful full moon in Cancer that is going to be unfolding at 27 degrees. And then we will also take a look at the Venus retrograde that is coming to an end on January 29th. It is stationing at 11 degrees to start to go direct. And what does all of that mean? We're going to take a look at the chart. I'm also pulling a tarot reading at the very end to see what this month is going to bring to you. My intention is to cut through the noise and bring you the most important messages so that you are prepared. Let's dive into this reading and pull up the charts. So Capricorn, this full moon, how I see it is that it is going to be a huge reset for a lot of you when it comes to relationship dynamics and then also who you are now. I think you're going through right now what seems to be an image change. You're exchanging a person that you used to be for a person that you are now. I see that with this full moon, you are going to feel actually pretty fired up about getting this jump started, this part of your life. But it also kind of puts you into a position where I think you have to have caution, which is it is about that full moon in Cancer. Cancer represents protection, caution. It can represent also feeling maybe a little bit too passionate, right? Some of us could be in that kind of a realm during this week. So I want to bring this into your periphery because you could attract people who are in your life that are really important to you, or relationships that maybe feel like they disagree with you. There could be some kind of opposition with that, with the goals that you have with the person you're becoming now, and them just not being aligned with it. And so, like I said in the very beginning of this reading, it's so important for you right now to walk away from anything that is just challenging you on the level of just being in opposition to who you are or who you're becoming. Right now, all of that does not matter. What matters is that you're focusing on the new goals that you're setting, focusing on the truth that is surfacing for you, right? And that is what I feel that this reset is all about. This is a very powerful full moon in Cancer that is resetting you in that kind of a way. And that's what I'm predicting for many of you. Now, what's so interesting about this full moon in Cancer is that the very next day, we jumpstart the week with such passionate feelings. And then the next day, we get this glimpse into what's possible for our future now, based on the decision or the emotional decision making that we're making on the full moon day, or even leading up to it, and more decisions to come, because we get this glimpse of a new sort of approach in our life, or a new future. And for you, it will have a lot to do with now the sun trining the north node in the fifth house, which is where the nodes are switching into the fifth and the 11th house. This will have to do with your, life purpose. The fifth house is a very purposeful house. It's also a house of joy. It's a house of like a childlike joy too. So it can involve children if you have it. It can involve sort of this idea of, a spiritual purpose too, because the fifth house has to do with anything that our heart loves and attracts. So it could be a very spiritual time, for you to dive into a part about yourself now that has been begging for this kind of an energy, or has been begging for this kind of, vibe. What kind of vibe do you want in your life? And that is becoming so increasingly important now as the nodes are switching into the fifth and the 11th house. And you're going to sort of work out any kind of boundary issues that, surface over the next 18 months that have to do with groups and have to do with affiliations or people who are just part of groups that you were a part of as well. But there might be more changes that are happening here or more ways in which you're going to make this portion of your life more secure and stable. And so I feel like it is going to be a very important week in the sense that you get the glimpse of where life is taking you now that the relationship dynamics have worked themselves out. Now, the other really important thing that I'm seeing is the Venus retrograde that we are enduring right now. And I'm saying enduring because this energy can feel kind of powerful in the sense that it really stops us in our tracks. Venus in Capricorn looks at the long term. Venus in Capricorn looks at, well, what do I want in my life? What are the goals? What are some of the things that I really desire, but how am I going to get there? What am I really reaching for here? And so for you, it has a lot to do with how you attract into your life, how you attract based on who you are. Venus in the first house is very powerful in the sense that you can have this magnetism about you, but what does it attract? Is this something that really works for you? You've been reviewing this aspect, can you really open up to being this person? And what does that mean to be this particular person with this particular image or with this particular social behavior? These are the types of things you could be looking at. At the very minimum, I think a lot of you are taking a look also at your body. This can have to do with body image, but also health. So you've been maybe taking a look at what does it mean to be healthy? What does it mean to have goals that you aspire that are sustainable when it comes to the themes we just mentioned. So Venus stations direct on January 29th. And when it goes direct, it is going to be at 11 degrees. And so what I'm predicting for a lot of you is that you're going to come back to a sense of feeling whole, clear about what your social behavior or your new image or your health is going to look like now and what it is that you want to share with the world. And that's what I'm predicting for many of you. For the astrology portion, let's move on to your tarot reading. All right, my Capricorn friends, these are your cards. January 2022. We start out with the King of Swords. So the entire month essentially is about what you think about yourself and how are you towards yourself. This is the bigger picture of January 2022. The King of Swords, the swords, is about thoughts. At the very minimums, like the swords are about thoughts. The King of Swords is about you being now at a place where you're reviewing how you are talking to yourself and how that leads to emotional openness or closeness. The Page of Cups can either open you up or it can close you down. And what I'm seeing here is that both of these are happening at the same time. There is a part of you that is opening up to having relationships come into your life that you never considered before. And there's also a lot of endings or changes in relationship dynamics that are unfolding. This, I feel like, is all across the board for a lot of Capricorns right now, because it feels like you've been working on this for quite some time. A lot of the relationships felt very restricting. They felt like they were restricting you, or it just wasn't going anywhere. That's what it feels like. And so what's happening is that you didn't really know why it was maybe influencing you this way, but this month brings clarity to it. What's the clarity? Well, we have two of the most compassionate tarot cards. The Ace of Cups with the Judgment coupled is compassion. This is incredible because what we're seeing here is that you are really working on your compassion in the sense that you are realizing that you have to be different to yourself, and you're learning this aspect a lot. You're learning to bring a better sort of approach to yourself, but compassion has to be the leading way. Love has to be the leading way. And that determines whether you open up or whether you are staying closed off to certain ideas about relationships and what actually is possible in this subject for you. Now, what's so interesting is that what I think you're realizing, one of the key aspects
in regards to who you are is your ability to endure. Love endures all things, right? So Ace of Cups, the Judgment with the Justice together, this is you realizing now that in order for you to move on, you have to get started again, but from a new place. You have to sort of, I think a lot of you are realizing this month that some things have to end and you have to allow for them to end. And perhaps there is a part of you that wants to give in to how it should end, but that is just more drama. And we talked about that in the beginning. You know, you got to log off the drama this month. It has to be that way in order for you to understand how you want to change your life. You cannot engage in the drama anymore because it hooks you in. I'm going to clarify these two cards here. It hooks you in, you see. The other thing that you're learning a lot is about how your mindset then impacts confidence, bravery. Not that you don't have it. It just has to do with relationship dynamics a lot this month. We see that in the Judgment. You know, you cannot avoid being or feeling different. Because the reason you're feeling different, you see, compassion is a word that comes into the picture when we feel much more spiritual. What does that mean? Well, whatever it means to you to be spiritual. Do you pray? What do you do, right? Where do you connect to the realm beyond the physical? What inspires you in that kind of a way? Where do you tap into love? And this is a very deepening month of that. It's your season, except for your season comes with the Venus retrograde and also, you know, Mercury also then starting to station to go retrograde as well. It's going to go all the way back into your sign. This is you resetting, leaving an old version of yourself behind. And this old version is the hardworking person that holds it together for everybody else, but it just cannot be that way anymore, is what I think the conclusion is here for you. That's what the cards are suggesting. That's the conclusion, because if you are attached still to this version of yourself, it's never going to be able to learn a different way to be loved by somebody else. You see, if you get loved by somebody else in a different kind of a way, if you allow for yourself to actually be supported, what happens is you start to understand yourself from a different angle. 3 of Clubs on top of the Justice. So for everyone who is listening to the podcast version only, the Page of Cups, I clarified it with the 9 of Spades. The Justice card right underneath the Page of Cups is clarified with the 3 of Clubs. So what we're seeing here is that there is this opportunity for a lot of you to let go of relationship dynamics that are simply hitting a plateau, but a karmic plateau, you know? To put it into perspective, it's a karmic plateau. There's not much else you guys can give towards each other because now you got to break away from the norm. The cycle is coming to an end and a new cycle has to begin, is what especially Pluto and Capricorn is saying for you. You know, this card right over here, the Page of Pentacles, is in the relationship dynamic position for the tarot reading. And so the relationships right now are really showing you a lot about how you approach yourself. How you approach yourself, what you think about yourself, what you think is possible, but what's overcoming the obstacles this month. The leading card here that trumps everything else that is in front of you right now when you're looking at the cards, or if you're in the podcast version, if you're listening to that, what is the most driving energy this month is compassion, because we see the Judgment card in the most supportive energy position. So the Judgment here is saying that it is an undeniable energy now where you're realizing that you have to tune into yourself a lot more because you want to. because the way in which you lead your life is going to have a completely different image now. Image, call it approach, call it vision, and compassion and the connection to your very own inner spirit and your soul. The soul driven part of you is overcoming the maybe, like, I'm going to say, I don't want to say inability, but not being able to maybe receive more and wondering why that is. This is really interesting because this Page of Cups in the second position is making you emotionally really consider how you receive. Because the Page of Cups, again, is about opening or closing. So it's a receptive mode. What's interesting is we go from Swords and Cups and very emotional cards to the Eight of Wands. So your commitment becomes very clear at the end of the month in regards to what? The commitment to a new life, the commitment to a new daily routine, and the commitment to look at your fears from a different angle. They can't overcome what it is that you want to be anymore. And that becomes clear. Yeah, you see, because you are letting go of very, very important thoughts that used to be a repetitive pattern. They're coming to an end. These thoughts that you used to have about yourself, how you were with yourself. And you see they would lead to feeling doubt, feeling like you're somewhat defeated. Anger may have been masking this portion of your life, but you see the Eight of Wands, this is power back online. This is you coming to a new commitment that has a lot to do with you and who you want to be moving forward. I think you can expect that at least 3 out of the most important relationships in your life, they will respect the changes that you're undergoing. The rest of them will not. It's very specific for some of you. Not every Capricorn is going to have this message really land. I just really see that there are 3 very important relationships in your life that are going to support you by giving you the space that you need in order to figure this portion out about yourself. But the rest, I'm not sure that they're on board. And the reason you are hearing this message, if this speaks true to you, the reason you are hearing this message is because you see what you're learning right now is better boundaries in regards to the time that you need, because you have to stay in a place. There's 3 more cards that fell out. I was shuffling to kind of clarify it. You see, you need to be able to also receive the energy back that you're putting out. It becomes super apparent this month in order for you to feel that you are not burned out all the time. You see, we have the 10 of Spades on top of the Ace of Cups. We have the Ace of Spades on top of the Page of Pentacles. This is the breakthrough this month, is that you're realizing the receiving isn't the same. Is it that there are some relationships that don't listen to you? They don't provide the space to listen to you. They don't provide a particular level of compassion to see you for who you are. And then that leads to sort of this defeatedness, a little bit of anger, a little bit of this doubt, and then it's just like nothing gets accomplished. The conversations never lead anywhere. You see the 6 of Diamonds is the breakthrough. That's the other card that fell out here. The 6 of Diamonds is, okay, there is a better approach, a much better approach, a much more happier approach to yourself. But it's got to start with you, and you have to take the time to view this aspect of your life. And that's what I'm seeing for all my Capricorn friends.
That's a wrap on today's episode. I hope that you liked this video. I hope that it provided you the guidance that you need in order to navigate through this month. Thank you so much for being here. I would love to stay connected to you, so be sure to subscribe. You can also follow me on Instagram or TikTok at Uprise Astrology Podcast, and I will see you here in the next episode.